what? We're making them do the worm and the casting and all that stuff before they had the joy of catching the fish. Okay? And they feel lost. And I'm like, I don't want to do this. This is too hard. Okay? So what I want you to do is I want you to talk about Family Tree. I want you to make sure they know that this is a common shared tree. People aren't knowing that, or they don't remember that. Tell them to be careful when they change deceased, because you're messing with Ron Tanner's ancestors. Right? We all use the same ancestors, right? And we connect our lines. You mess with one, you mess with everybody. Right? Help them understand that. Be careful. Right? And work together. It's about working together. Then I want you to start asking them questions about their family. Tell me about your grandmother. Here's my grandmother, Blanche Sophia Turley. She was born in the colonies in Mexico. And then they take them to their page. Well, let's go look at your grandmother, okay, on FamilySearch. Oh, hey, I see that the 1940 census is not there. And there's a hint. Take them to the 1940 census and say, hey, there it is. Right there. Look, there she is right there. Notice she has a little X next to her. That X means that she was the one that gave the information to the census taker when they stopped by the house. Okay? Show them what they were doing. If you scroll over to the right, you can see he was a farmer. My grandfather was a store clerk. That's what you talked about. Now, what did I do? I just introduced them to the concept of sources. I introduced them to the 1940 census, like the easiest census on the planet to understand. And I said, you know, we take records and things from the census, and then we put it on the person to make sure that it's right. Well, they'll get that. That's not too hard, especially when it's something close by and someone they know. Now, what have I taught? I've taught about Family Tree. I've taught about records. I've taught about censuses. I've taught about attach. Okay? And then let them wander around a little bit. Okay? Let them wander around and watch them. Look at their faces and wait until you see that childlike joy when they find something. And it doesn't necessarily have to be for members, that green temple. It doesn't have to be that. They could just be finding a record, finding a picture that they didn't have before because a relative put it on there. That is the same kind of joy that we all get. It comes from the same place. Okay? So that's what I'll look at their eyes and see when they sparkle. And when they sparkle, now you know what turns them on. Is it a story that turns them on? Is it a picture that turns them on? Is it a source that turns them on? And you start there. And you do a little bit more, and I did a little more, and introduce some of the other things over time. Okay? Can you be a good teacher for me? Can you help out? Yeah? You do that? You know how it is. That's how it needs to be. Thank you to 4 people that are going to help. Appreciate that. All right. Family Tree, FamilySearch Family Tree. I'm going to say it again. I have to say this every time because there's somebody in here that doesn't know this. It's not like it's a different way of doing genealogy. We have private portions of the tree. Those are living. You enter in yourself, you enter in your parents, and then when you cross over to the dead, you attach into this common tree of everyone. So oftentimes when people come and they connect into a line, boom, they all of a sudden get years and years and years back. And we want that. We don't want you spending time doing research that's already been done. We want you to spend time finding people that haven't been found, right? Or making sure these are right. And here along comes another person, just connects in, they get the benefit of the whole thing. Why do we do it this way? Because we want to reduce the research efforts of researching your ancestors, and so you can spend your time finding the missing ones. Right? There was a study, I've said it before, there was a study about the 1970s, can't find any more recent, that says as much as 80% of all research is duplicate. Now, it might be better now with online, but I think it could be worse. At least we know all those bad trees that are out there are getting replicated everywhere, right? Love that. All those bad genealogies. Our goals of Family Tree are the same. Accurately document the human family, freely share information with everyone, and preserve the data forever. Let's talk a little about numbers this last year, 2016. We have still running about 2.5 million persons added per month to the tree. When we add, remember, we look for duplicates before it gets entered into the tree because we're cleaning the stream. All Right? If they find a duplicate, we say, here's some matches. They can pick it, join right into that whole line. Or if not, they add a new person. We get about 8 million sources added each month to the tree. So 2.5 million persons, 8 million sources. Okay? Family Tree now has 1.1 billion persons in the tree, over 708 million sources. Now, if you were around last year I was telling you there was 1.2 billion in the tree. We've actually gone down. Why? Because now you can merge all those duplicates you couldn't merge before. So we actually reduced in size, which is a good thing. I'm happy about that. All right, let's talk about some of the highlights of 2016. The biggest thing is we decommissioned NFS. I have to say NFS because the last time I said New Family Search, they thought it was new. Yay! Come on. Hallelujah! We are so happy that thing is gone. I'm trying to save a piece of the machinery so I can give that to the lead architect. He can shoot it. Smash it with a hammer or something. And because we decommissioned New Family Search, then we can combine anybody out there. There's no longer a problem with size, and you don't get those relationships coming back that you were cleaning up before. But we did add some personal limits to try to bring the data into good quality. So we stop you from merging two people that are too big. If a person is too big, we won't let you merge. We tried to get reasonable numbers. Let's just go through those reasonable numbers. You can have up to 200 spouses, 100 parents, 400 children, 1,000 memories, 200 sources, 50 discussions, and 50 notes. Reasonable, huh? Well, start big and we'll squeeze it later. All right? So if you have more than any of those on a person, we'll give you a little error in the merge that says they're too big and you need to go fix it. So go take care of the spouses and children and get them in line before you merge them together. We're just trying to start saying, okay, we're getting rid of the duplicates. Now let's start cleaning up the data and getting it better and better. Right? So we have that. We also completed Warn on Save. You should have seen that. When you go in and edit a conclusion, there's a little blue blurb down at the bottom. Grow it up. It says the number of people that are watching this person and warning you, if you change this information, we're going to let them know. Right? We're handing out your name to people, right? So beware of what you're doing. So if you're interested in people, what people are doing to your ancestors, then watch them. Right? Go find the star in the card or go find the star at the top of the person's page and we'll send you an email about anybody that's changing your people. It's our people. It's really funny how that is. You know, it's one brother tells the other brother, it's my dad. And he's like, well, it was like my dad too. For some reason, it's your ancestor and you forget you had brothers and sisters and cousins. Right? The further back we go, the more we it is instead of me. All right. We also added how you are related to someone in the family tree. Before, we only did that 4 generations up. Now, it's much better. We could now go 15 generations up and 15 generations down. So you just go anywhere in the tree, click the View My Relationship, it will tell you how you're related. Okay? It isn't necessary. It just follows the shortest path. Right? Somebody called me up and said, well, it didn't go through my biological whoever it was. It went through my mother or whatever. I said, that's the shortest path. Right? So it goes through the shortest path from you to that particular ancestor. Just FYI on that. I think it's great. 15 generations is fun. It's fast. And the software to do this calculation runs on the largest server we can get. The biggest. You would not imagine the number of calculations we require in order to trace somebody's line. Over 1.1 billion people, right? It's a big, big job. But it happens fast. Isn't it pretty fast? I think it's pretty fast. All right, Family Tree for futures. Let's talk about things we're working on or thinking about working on. I'm looking for feedback from you on what things you like, so you can clap or cheer, whatever. No passing out or swooning. Ooh, I'm not going to get any of that. Hi, my name's Scott, whatever. I have the hair. Woo! How am I doing?
Jonathan.
That's the kind of yelling that I get. We're on. Okay, Family Tree. All right, we have delivered, oh, this doesn't look very good. That slide didn't work out. That's supposed to be a picture of Family Tree, so imagine it in your mind. We delivered a full-feature browser in Family Tree, and we also delivered mobile. And by the way, we've been upgrading mobile. You've recently been seeing more stuff. Our intent is that on the mobile app, you can do everything you need to do your family history and church stuff. Yeah? That's our goal. So if you're on like an iPad or something, you might want to take a look at the mobile app. It works on the iPad or something. It might get you, we download stuff. You can cache memories down on your iPad, things like that, or mobile device. I have it on my cell phone. So it's pretty slick. The team's still working on it. I think they have one more feature this quarter that they have to add in order to have a good complementary, sufficient stuff to be able to do. It does hinting, by the way, on the mobile. It does merge now. It's going to do, what's the next thing? I think merge is next. Merge is the last one. Change log, it's going to add the change log, restore, all of that stuff on the mobile device. Okay? Yeah. Now, these products are great, and you'll love them, but guess what? They don't work so well everywhere in the world. Huh? You say? No way. Yes way. Why? Okay, let me give you actually your memory. Do you remember sometime earlier this year when there was an attack on the domain servers back east in Virginia? You remember that on the news? And it brought like that half of the country down on their internet access. It actually slowed us down. Within seconds of that happening, people were sending me messages through Get Satisfaction, through Send Feedback, saying, this is excruciatingly slow. It took more than 60 seconds. 60 seconds? If you're living on the other side of the world, a person page takes about a minute and a half for it to come up. And we're crying because it can't be done in 5 seconds. I can't hardly stand waiting. I'm wiggling my mouse. I'm going to play my mobile game, waiting for it to come up in 60 seconds. Okay? This is an actual message. Well, the reason why is because we are sending a lot of data when we go to give you that information. I mean, we're creating a page that has all the pictures and all the memories, all the sources, all the tagging, all that kind of stuff. Well, that doesn't work. Believe it or not every place on the planet has the same bandwidth that we enjoy here in the United States of America. Huh? It's either horrible bandwidth or it costs too much. So let me tell you some stuff we've been working on. And here's an example of a chart. We measure every week, these are Sundays, we measure, the bottom line is how long it takes to see a full person detail page in the United States. The top line is how long it takes to look at it in another country on the other side of the planet. Way too long for them. They're very patient people. It's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Philippines.
Yeah. I'm not saying any country. All right, so the bandwidth is available, but it's limited. They just give them slow bandwidth network, right? And these people all over in the other parts of the world, they don't have the ability they deserve the right to be able to record their family genealogy and their family history. So we at FamilySearch feel compelled to provide them a way to do that. So we haven't been adding all the features that you've been looking for, or even some of the features I talked about last time, because we've been working on helping them. And we help them by creating a product we call Family Tree Lite, which is a way for them to get and interact with Family Tree, but in a highly low bandwidth way. Let me give you some examples. It's designed for mobile phone. Here's the login. Here is the person page for Henry Martin Tanner. This is the entire person page that they see for Henry Martin Tanner. Has vitals. Okay? Here is, and if you want to see relationships, you can't see relationships here. If you want to see that, then you have to click View Family. And if you say View Family, then you see, oh, excuse me, that was edit. If you edit, you can, so you're editing the birth. So you see this, if you edit the birth, it comes to a new screen. If you add it and make changes, then it comes to a new screen to edit it, and then you hit Save. So here's Henry, back on Henry. You don't see any relationships, so you have to click on View Family. When you do, you see this on the screen, the mobile device. You see Henry Martin, his wife, their kids. If you scroll up, you see his other wife and their kids. Scroll up, then you see his parents, and his grandparents on his side. You keep scrolling, you see his mother's side grandparents, right? And great-grandparents, okay? So that's how you do that on this little light. You scroll through the family relationships. If you want to see something about that family or that person, you click on the name and you go to the person detail page, which I showed you earlier with Henry Martin Tanner. To give you an example of what this has accomplished by doing this simplified version, the Family Tree web interface, which is the one you're used to seeing, goes back to the server 263 times and gets 3 megabytes of data to put it on your screen. 3 megabytes. This Family Tree Lite interface makes 3 server calls and puts maximum of 31K of data across that wire. That's huge. That's huge. For us folks, we're the only ones in any conference that remember this. When you used to have to pick up the phone and it went, you stuck it in the cups. This is enough that you could actually have a good experience through that kind of a connection. Okay? It's just that good. So these people now have the ability to do this. And we've removed features, as I said. We don't show these features. So this is not something you would necessarily use in a good bandwidth area. For instance, we took out other information. There's no memories. There's no notes, no discussions, no live sketch, no pedigree views. There's no lists, like watch lists or anything. There you can't merge on these things, because that's too much data to bring down. And there's no change log. Very limited, made for those areas of the world that we're just trying to help them get started and get those first few generations going so they have that opportunity. And it only runs on feature, and it's designed to run on feature phones. Now, you may not remember feature phones, so I got a definition here from Wikipedia. Feature phone is a mobile phone typically used as a retronym to describe low-end mobile phones, which are limited in capabilities in contrast to the modern smartphone. We used to call them dumb phones. When the smartphones came out, we called them dumb phones. Right? That's a feature phone. You may remember them, your first phone, your first flip phones, right? Even the first flip phones that got to go to the internet, right? And these are what some of the modern ones look like. Look pretty interesting. They look kind of like what we have now. But the problem is they only do certain things. You can make phone calls, you can send text messages, you can do basic multimedia, meaning you can put a smiley face on something, you can look at a little picture. But you only can run the apps that come with the phone. This phone doesn't allow you to download a new app. You only get the apps that the service provider provides you. Right? And usually the app they always provide is a browser. But then you got to pay extra money for the data charges through that. These phones don't connect to a wireless network. They only work over the cellular network. That's the kind of phones that these people in these countries have. And everybody has phones because that's the way they communicate. Right? Because telephones are too expensive. I mean, landlines, they're just not there in the infrastructure. So that's what this is designed as. Now, I don't know if you've heard, Facebook and a little bit of Google jumping in, and a few others, are trying to provide free internet access to certain parts of the world. Facebook, for instance, is doing it through their app called internet.org. Internet.org. They'll provide small, limited bandwidth, like 3 to 5 megabits, which is pretty slow, connection for free to people who so they're off working with service providers to add this to those. The Family Tree Lite client is designed to work on internet.org. So those people who can't even afford the data can now get free internet and do their family history. And they deserve it. These families deserve a way to preserve their family history, right, for future generations. Okay, that's what we've been doing for the last little while. The expectations Lite will come out sometime in early April is when we'll be releasing that to those parts of the world. So thank you for your patience in not getting your other things. We've also been busy fixing bugs. It's amazing how when you take the jet engines off a plane that's in flight and you climb out on the wings and you yank them out, put new engines in and plug the wire it all up, turn it on, and it flies, you hope. It's interesting how many little bugs you still left behind. So we've been spending a little time fixing that stuff. But I think it's working better. Do you think Family Tree's working better now? Yeah, even a little faster in some areas. Okay, speaking of that, some stuff we're working on right now is, interestingly enough, when you have a machine and it has all these gears and all these pieces that fit together, when you pull out one of those gears and you put a different gear in, what happens to the rest of the other parts? Yeah, they have a little struggle. So what we've been doing in Family Tree, see, we've been running on these kind of scooters lately. That's what we ran on before. Right? That's what we had before with New Family Search. Then we turned around and we did the cutover on June 27th. Isn't that interesting? It was June 27th. Did you realize that those of you who used New Family Search, I looked back in time and we found out that New Family Search was also released on June 27th? We didn't plan that. Matter of fact, we wanted to go out in May, but we found a problem and had to fix it. It took us a month. Interestingly enough. That's like the Joseph Smith's martyrdom too, right? That's not a really good thing to, look up with. So we've been running on these machines. You've been complaining, and we know we had to fix it, so we went off and fixed it. We gave you a new Family Tree backend that runs all the data, and that's like one of these machines. So now we just hooked up one of those machines, but we still got these old ones still running, right? That's why when you click Family Tree, it's like, oh baby, lightning flash. You pick another part of the system, it goes, whoa, whoa. Why isn't it fast? I gotta wait 60 seconds. Whoa, whoa, whoa. That's because it's using the old stuff still, right? We got it in the new system that can grow, but we got to go clean it up. So our next job we're going to be working on, and we're still working on it now, is we're going to try to make them all Big Mac truck things. They can all work together and give you good speed and performance everywhere. Sources on living. We're still researching this, so I got to ask you, how many of you have your own birth certificate? Okay, how many of you would be willing to upload that birth certificate to FamilySearch.org in memories that are publicly viewable to everybody? That's a funny thing. I always love this question. Okay, so what is it? I'm just going to tell you, I'm not chewing you out or anything. It's just my observation. That's my job, is to observe you and get into your brain. Let me tell you what's happening in your brain. You're having a conflict, you don't know it, but right back here, there's neurons right back there. Let me tell you why. What's on a birth certificate? Your name, your birthday, your parents' name. Is there any of this stuff on Facebook? You got your name, you got your birthday, because everybody sends you happy birthday because the system tells them it's Cherie's birthday today, and everybody replies. And I bet you half of them or more have the name of your parents on the there. So why is it okay there? Just ask me. Don't answer. I understand. Right? But I get it, and I believe it. What if we created a vault in Family Search and protected away your personal documents, and we didn't allow anybody to even touch it, look at it, see it, or find it until after you're gone, off to a better place? Would you upload it then? Would you consider then? Okay. Because personally, I believe that it is crazy to have your posterity have to research you. Isn't that stupid? This doesn't make sense to me. Right? 100 years from now, they're going to go, I cannot find great-grandma's birth certificate anywhere. It's duplicated. Do I put both hints on? That's what they're going to ask me like that about your death certificates and mine. Why? We should put it on there for them. Well, you might have a little trouble with the death one. You'll have to leave that to the relatives to take care of that one. Okay? But I believe that we should all be documented. Now, right now, sources you can't put on living, or at least you can't see them. That's my fault. I take full blame. But let me tell you why I did. Because I didn't want people to be afraid. Because I think if I open this up, because people see when they come to a living person, they see this big banner that says, this is a private person, nobody can see this. And they're going to think that if I upload birth certificates, marriage certificates, and the like, that it's going to be just as private as the person. That's what I think. And then they'll be really upset when they find out all of the information is public now. Things they may not want to share publicly. So I blocked living sources. Is that okay until we get the vault? All right. But I think we all need to have it, and so we'll figure out a way to get that protected, see if it's okay. I know anything written. I'm a computer software person. I know anything built in software could be hacked in software. So we'll try really hard. All right. So I'm afraid they'll assume it, so we're going to try to work on that. Sharing living. We talked about this last time. We weren't able to get to it. because we are doing fixes of the back end and our lite tree, which thank you very much, we'll be able to deliver those people. Why sharing? I want to know, why is it that you send us mail and you say, I want to have my living shared? Why? Over here, why do you want living shared? Why do you want to share living? Why do you want to see each other's living? Because you're working on the same stuff? I don't like Uncle Harry's name. I'm going to change that sucker to Dumb Harry. All right, so you want to see your whole family both living and dead. Any other reason? Yeah, over here.
Memories.
Memories. You want to see the memories, right? You know memories are public and anybody can see them, right? It's just nice to be able to just have it go bloop, right there and see it. Oh, somebody just added a story. I wonder what it's about. Some birthday party that it just had. Some wedding that just occurred, right? Right, see the memories. Anything else? Have a lot of duplication. I knew somebody was going to say that. I got an answer for you. All right, let's talk about shared living. Now, I talked about this before. I'm going to show it to you again. We have a private area, which is living. We have the public area. My wife has her private area with a copy of me and the kids. We want to get to one place. So I'm going to create a Tanner family project, and I'll say, well, I'll copy my stuff in there, and then I'll invite my wife, Cherie. That's not lining up very good. And I get my wife, Cherie, and have her copy in just her dad, because her dad's alive. No, we put him on the outside of the circle. I guess we want to send him too. No, we like him better than we like my mom. So anyway, I go invite my brother, and he comes and put in his family, okay? And then so together we're all looking at the same living. But you notice something, that the private was still there. Why is the private? Why did both have to remain? The private and the combined places. Well, that's because you may not want to share everything. Like the previous marriage you had with somebody that you didn't really want anybody to know about. Or some kid that somebody else had that you don't want anybody else to know in the family. Right? Matter of fact, we got a panicked text message about 11 o'clock at night the other day from somebody trying to ask me how do I hide something in a change log because somebody did DNA and discovered that one of the kids was born from a different father, from her grandparents. And she knew about it, but she didn't want anybody else in the family to know about it. Okay? So there's some things you don't want to necessarily share with the whole family. Secondly, they may kick you out. You may be a bad person. You do stupid things. You know, like edit stuff that aren't standard, or, you know, merge things that don't belong merging. We'll kick you out of the shared project. Right? I can do that. You can do that if you create it. And plus, there's probably going to be more than one shared project. Why? Because the Tanner line wants to know about my family, and the Nations line wants to know about my family, and the Parkinson line wants to know about my family, but they don't want to know about each other. Right? Just send me your family, your kids. What about my wife's parents? I don't care about them, just send me yours. Right? Any got any more organizations like that? Yeah. And then somebody said duplication. Now, some private duplication is okay. Public duplication is not. Let me tell you why this isn't a problem. Assume great-grandma had, this is great-grandma, and she had 10 kids. And each of those 10 kids had 10 kids. How many copies of great-grandma would there be? 110 copies of great-grandma. Now, by some miracle, every one of the 10 kids and every one of the 100 grandkids all got accounts on FamilySearch.org. How likely is that going to happen? Never. But let's say they all do. This is a real genealogy family. It's part of the requirements. Every Sunday afternoon from 2 to 4, you have to do this. Okay. Yes, mother. Okay, so now great-grandma dies. Let's just say that great-grandma's a member of the church. And the clerk, fast-acting clerk, never happens this way, right? I got people today calling me saying the clerk still hasn't killed grandma. Well, call the clerk. Call the membership department. So anyway, let's say that there's some really studious and dutiful, but we might go over a little bit, okay? Is that all right? We have to lunch after this. You're welcome to leave if we get a little farther. So let's say that there's a crazy relative, and he's there at the viewing. He flips open his mobile phone and marks grandma dead. How many copies of grandma in the public world? One. Now let's say the other grieving grandkids finally make it home, and two of them, or one of those, what's the likelihood of all the grandkids marking grandma dead at the exact same instant in time? 0. So at most, one grandkid is going to mark grandma dead. It goes to a public place. How many public people are there of grandma? 2. How many merges does this person have to do? How many merges? 1. Now the next grandkid marks grandma dead. How many dead grandmas are there? 2. How many merges do they have to do? So I keep going. See, we get freaked out because of past history. You have to merge hundreds of thousands of copies. We're talking about 1 for each person, right? Because if they're not going to be marked dead, it just stays there living, right? So I think it'll be okay. We'll figure it out. All right, we continue. We want to have more family sharing opportunities. You know, there's more, a whole lot more than just seeing the living together. What about if we had a shared memory album where people could put memories in that same album? Anybody in the family could put memories in that same album so that you could all see it, right? Would that be something that would be interesting? We want to start moving to where families are working together on genealogy. We want to provide more features that do that. So here's shared memory. What about group messaging? What if I could have a group, the Ron Tanner family, and I just go to this ancestor and say, send this to the family. And all the family goes, sees this information about this ancestor. Let's go get, on this Christmas, let's all write memories about this ancestor that we remember. Send a message out to the family. Okay? Or send a message that says, crazy Uncle Ed's at it again. Somebody put him back into the Lord. How about a shared to-do list? Where you can say, here's the things we have to do. And then parts of the family could actually peel off pieces of to-do. Oh, well, I'm over in this part of the world. I'll go take care of that. Or I'll go take care of that. I think that would be valuable for us to work together. And, of course, some maybe group activity feed. Okay? Where you can see all the action that's happening by all of your family members. Okay? See what they're doing. Faster notifications. We're under development. We don't want to send you a notification that somebody messed with your ancestor once a week. It's too late. We want to send it maybe immediately. And by the way, have you seen the new one? Have you been getting these new ones? It's better, huh? Needs a little more work, but this is the new emails you get now. We're trying to get a little bit more specific on exactly what changed and what ancestors were involved in the change. That's good. Huh? Do you like that? Yeah. We want to change notifications to be immediate. So immediately they change it, you can send them an Instagram right away. Yo, idiot, what you doing? We don't mess with our family. You mess with one, you mess with us all. That's how I start my emails. Or maybe daily, if you don't want it every minute, and weekly. Watch list, we're investigating enhancements to the watch list. Like for instance, right now today, you get to see people you're watching. What if we put a little thing that has, this doesn't have anything, changes to people I'm watching, but you get to sort it by date, by name. And what about all my changes in Family Tree? So now you can go there and look at all the stuff you've done. The last thing you were doing helps you remember where to get back. And all of the names are clickable, and you jump right to that ancestor and start working where you left off. Like that? Somebody says, I want a way to be able to see how many changes they're making. Right? An idiot touched my line. I want to see all the changes idiot's made. We're thinking about that too. Delete, I want to detect deleted values being re-entered. We talked about this one. So let's say I have just cleaned up things, says Tanner Cemetery, Tanner Town. I saw that junk. I cleaned it up to Provo, Utah, like it's supposed to be. Some idiot comes in and changes it back, Goober 2. Changes it back. I'd like to pop up a warning that says, hey, this has been previously deleted, and this is the why they said it wasn't any good. Yeah. And then maybe, are you sure? Maybe I need to also put there, and by the way, 400 people will be notified immediately. Okay, notified when someone edits a conclusion you put in, even if you're not watching it. Would you want something like that? Yeah? All right. Closing. Family history and family search, remember, is about people. It's about people. I like what he said this morning. He said, facts tell, but stories sell, right? So facts tell, and that's important, but stories sell. Remember, family history is about people. It's about connections. It's about connection between the young and the old. between families of both close families and families far away. And it's about those connections of those who await to greet us on the other side. So please join us at Family Tree to generate the most accurate genealogy preserved forever. Family Tree is the world's genealogy. Share it, discuss it, fix it, source it, preserve it. Get help from millions to document those billions on Family Tree. Thank you very much. If you want to follow me on Facebook and Instagram, I try to give out tips and tricks and little information, answer questions. Thank you very much. Was this presentation useful? All right. Please say so, or they'll quit asking me to